Yo, Gary B, the casual guy, you won the giveaway from last week's video. Comic fam, utilize the code TOM101 on key collector comics. Aside from getting access to a wealth of knowledge, it's gonna unlock a bunch of categories that you need to be following. I'm talking about the spec deck. I'm talking about dollar bin diving. I'm talking about the hot keys. These categories are going to save you time and money. Utilize the code and enjoy your hot 10. Another week, another list of the record breakers, the top of the market, the comics that will define a generation of collectors, and I'm at the table virtually with Gem from GemMintCollectibles. How you feeling, man? How was your holiday?
It was great. What's going on, Tom? Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, all that good stuff. I'm excited to jump into this list. I see some familiar books, but some new books, including a new #1.
Oh, comic fan, buckle up, hit the subscribe button. We got a giveaway at the end of the video, so stay tuned. Slap that like button. We need your support, and we're going to kick this list off at number 10.
Yeah, man, you know this list is still suffering from symptoms of Star Wars fever, and this is the book that's really been leading the pack, man. The Star Wars Clone Wars issue 1, first appearance of Ahsoka Tano. We have 3 killer sales.
This is how Key Collector put it. This is the situation. There is a correlation between Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon, and Ahsoka Tano in Star Wars Clone Wars issue #1. Bear with me. On the Billboard charts, Dark Side of the Moon led the charts consecutively for 952 weeks. Ahsoka Tano has officially made her way onto our hot list for 11 consecutive weeks. Who would have known that there was such a correlation between these two entities?
I don't know. I think Nick might have been drinking a little too much eggnog playing Dark Side of the Moon backwards when he wrote this.
Well, needless to say, Ahsoka Tano is rounding out our list at number 10 because of some record breakers, but I think because the Mandalorian season 2 finale, although there is high hopes for her future, we're going to likely see this book start to trail off a little bit. But let's hit him with the new sales.
Yeah, we have a CGC 7.0 sale. There were no previous records of sales in this grade, but it sold for $500. Then we have a 9.0, which had a previous record of $790 back in November, now selling for $850. And then we have a 9.4, which held the record last week at $920, now selling for $1,100.
The high sale for a CGC 9.8 was broken back in November when Ahsoka Tano made her debut November 27th, and that sold for $2,295. We saw this week the second all-time high of $2,294, essentially the same price. Now, it didn't break new grounds, but it's remained consistent. There is a lot of faith in this character.
Yeah, with the announcement of her own solo miniseries through Disney+, that definitely extended the lifespan of this key issue. Now, speaking of another popular character, number 9 at the list, we have the first appearance of T'Challa, the Black Panther, and Fantastic Four 52.
One of the many blows in 2020, the passing of Chadwick Boseman, one of the most influential actors of our times. And with the passing of the mantle knowing to be taking place in the future, I mean, it was mentioned during the Disney Investor Day meeting that they have no intention of recasting Black Panther. Who will be the next leader of Wakanda? Well, there are a lot of books people are specking on, but the big key, the blue chip key, FF52, is making our list today.
Yeah, when I see this book on the list, I feel like collectors are realizing that T'Challa's first appearance is still pretty affordable. It's not like an AF-15 or a Fantastic Four 1 that's just completely out of range. We have a CGC 7.5 that had a previous record of $2,250, selling now for $2,800. Then we have an 8.5 that previously sold for $3,800, increasing by $1,000 at $4,800. So it's going to get a little bit more expensive in those higher grades.
And that was a record breaker, comic fam. We've never seen this comic break these types of numbers. Now, I'll remind the community that Shudi has made the Hot 10 multiple times in the last couple months. Members think she is a prime candidate to take on the mantle of Black Panther. But I'll remind the members that M'Baku is being heavily spec'd on as well and has made the trending list twice in the last month. I want to know your thoughts of who the next leader of Wakanda should be in the comment section below.
All right, number 8 on the list is a book that I am not familiar with at all. I don't know how I missed the boat on this character altogether. We're talking about The Crow issue 1, the second appearance of The Crow.
That's right. We have James O'Barr's masterpiece. We have at number 8, The Crow, issue number 1, the first print. This black cover is so difficult to secure in high grade, and we do have some record breakers to report on, but not before we remind the community of a trend that has absolutely taken place over the last couple quarters, and that is 80s and 90s independent comics, like the highly respected titles, getting so much attention and love that they're becoming blue chip keys.
Yeah, this book is in the same vein as independent keys like Albedo issue 2, the first appearance of Usagi Yojimbo, which just sold for $20,000 in a CGC 9.8 back in July. You have books like Ninja Turtles number 1, which had a CGC 9.4 sell for $36,000. You even have Tales from the Lantern, which is a scarce collection of Bone's first new strip stories, which sold for $45,000 in November.
And that's a preview appearance of Bone, but we're not talking about previews versus first appearances. Actually, we will get to that in a second. But right now we're talking about The Crow, which took 9 years of labor to produce, written and drawn by James O'Barr. And it was such a long time in the making because he literally had to do it in bursts. He described the process of creating these pages and writing this story like ripping open old wounds, causing himself to bleed again, because it was this story that was used to essentially channel his anger, frustration, and aggression after the death of his fiancée. She was hit by a drunk driver. And this story of Eric Draven and the vengeance that he seeks in the streets of Detroit is as close to a true story as a fictional comic story can get. The streets of Detroit were literal drawings of buildings at that time, from the graffiti on the walls to the character designs, all being individuals in James O'Barr's head, people that he knew. He took them and created adaptations of them into the pages of this story and created a masterpiece.
Dang, I didn't know that, but I do know we have some record-breaking sales.
That's right. We have a 9.0 once going for $500, now hitting $810. A new 9.4 record breaker, which was a previous high of $930, now going for $1,350. And that's not all. We also have the first appearance in preview in Dead World issue number 10. This is an interesting preview conversation to wrap back around here, because The Crow was featured as an ad on the back page, the back cover of Dead World. And they made a variant copy of that comic book that Comic Pops actually got me for Christmas right here. And this is just one of those moments where I was so stoked to get a preview comic. And it's this very issue that saw some records broken this week. A 9.8 sale, which previous high was $550, has just hit $600.
All right, moving over to number 7 on the list is a book that I do know all about, a Silver Age key issue, Fantastic Four, issue 49, first full appearance of Galactus, second appearance of Silver Surfer, and the first cover appearance of them both.
Now, I got to ask, Jem, do you prefer the 48 cover over the 49? Because I've gone on record and said that 49 is my preferred cover of the trifecta. Or is it the 50, that poop brown that gets you?
I completely agree. I've always felt that 49 was the strongest out of the trilogy. 50 doesn't even count. 49 is one of the best comic book covers of all time.
Absolutely. And collectors have been after this in high grade for quite some time. Believe it or not, an issue 49 at 9.8 will exceed the price of issue 48, which is the first full Silver Surfer, because the census count of 9.8s are so dramatically low.
It's no surprise that we're seeing this book on this list. It was only a matter of time. Collectors have been speculating on Galactus and Silver Surfer for years. We finally got directors attached to the Fantastic Four movie, a little bit of a tease during the Investors Day Disney Plus show. So we're going to start seeing these keys bubble up. We have a couple of different sales we have to report on.
John Krasinski, where you at? Let's chat about some record breakers. Back in 2015, a 9.4 went for $4,500. 2018, a 9.4 went for $5,850. 2019, a 9.4 went for $8,700. And now this week, a new record for a 9.4 broken back to back for $9,000.
There's probably still some room on these books because we haven't seen or heard anything related to Galactus or Silver Surfer. If we see one of those guys in a trailer, it's over with.
Oh my goodness, let's look at some record breakers at number 6. But before we do, remind you that we are currently in enrollment for the January Mystery Mail Call. You support the show, we send you comics every month, and we got a gorgeous Cersei Comic Tom exclusive going out to every single member, done by Lucio Padillo. Link in the description, join the community, and let's chat about some Doc Ock goodness in ASM issue number 3.
It's nice to see 2 Marvel Silver Age keys on the list back to back. I think ASM 3 is a great book. I don't think you should go spending a lot of money for it just because Alfred Molina may be reprising his role in some type of cameo in the new Spider-Man 3 movie, but it's a great book nonetheless.
Dude, it's such a great key. Dr. Octopus is one of my all-time favorite villains, and it's kind of tough to tell. Are these numbers reflecting collectors just trying to secure their single-digit Spideys? Because traditionally, those are great investment books regardless of what happens on the screen. But we're just seeing Dr. Octopus creep up on all these lists right now because of Spider-Verse spec. And as you mentioned, it's seemingly only going to be a cameo.
Regardless of the reason, we have some record-breaking sales. A CGC 4.0, which had a previous high of $2,645, now selling for $3,120. Then we have a CGC 9.0 that previously had a record of $11,400, now selling for $13,500.
Number 5 on this list, we have Green Lantern issue number 87. One of the most difficult books to get in high grade, because of the reverse effect that some of these darker covers on this list have had. It's this white background that makes this book near impossible to even find above a 9.4.
Yeah, this is the first appearance of John Stewart, the Green Lantern. Many people's favorite Green Lantern. If they grew up watching Justice League Unlimited back in the day, he was in that animated series. Now there's speculation that he might be joining the Green Lantern Corps show that's slated to debut on HBO Max. So there's a lot of hype around this character right now.
Even news this very week was dropping, rumblings about J.J. Abrams being attached to this HBO series, as well as the list of characters that we are all expecting to see, part of that news dropping months ago. Characters like Sinestro, Alan Scott, Jessica Cruz, and Kilowog.
Is it Kilowog or Kilowag? Or you can just call him Kiloswag.
Kiloswag. I'm going with Kiloswag, comic fan. What do you think in the comment section below? And let's chat about some record breakers because, as mentioned, high sales of this book don't happen often.
Yeah, we got a CGC 9.6 that had a previous sale back in 2018 of $1,554, now selling for $2,535. So $1,000 jump there. Then we have a 9.8, which held a record in 2011 for $3,050, now selling for $6,500.
Only took 9 years for that number to creep up, comic fan. Puts in perspective the urgency to put money down, maybe even more than expected, to secure a high grade copy because you may not see one again, like ever again. Now, let's take a look at number 4 on the list because it was expected to be here. I mean, just at what part of the list? We have Star Wars issue number 68, the first appearance of the Mandalorians.
Yeah, man, the Star Wars fever is in full effect. We talked about Ahsoka, now we're talking about Boba Fett. Now I think it's far enough where we can talk about the end credit scene for the season finale of The Mandalorian, which shows Boba Fett taking over Jabba the Hutt's palace and teasing his new show.
Jem, I wasn't expecting to get more freaking pumped. I mean, seeing Luke Skywalker at the end of Mandalorian season 2 was enough, but seeing Boba Fett just destroy Bib Fortuna and take on the ruler of the underworld. We have the book of Boba coming soon. We have so much Mandalorian spec needing to be done over 2021.
Yeah, it looks like collectors got hyped with that season finale as well because we have record-breaking sales. A CGC 9.6 newsstand previously had a record of $750, now selling for $850. A Canadian price variant for a CGC 9.4. It had a previous record of $104, now selling for $585. But Tom, let them know what that 9.8's doing.
Every time a 9.8 hits eBay, I get notified. Everyone's watching what this book does in high grade. And this week, the record was shattered. Once going for $1,850, new high at 9.8, selling for $2,100. This book has cleared the $2,000 marker, and it's well-deserved.
The first appearance of Mandalorians is cool. The flashback scene of Boba, almost what looks like Boba Fett on the cover, but it's not. That's a cool book, but number 3 on the list, you gotta have Boba Fett's first appearance in comics.
That's right, Star Wars issue number 42. Now, I would expected this book to either fall down on the list or possibly even completely after the season 2 debut. But you know what? Now that we have the book of Boba on its way, members are aggressively hunting for Boba Fett keys, and they want his first appearance in Star Wars Marvel Comics.
Yeah, it's the Ahsoka effect. It's the same exact thing that happened to her character. These characters would have probably started to dip off and these books cool down after the end of season 2, but with them both getting their own shows, like I said, it's gruesome longer legs.
Boba Fett looking great on the cover of this comic book, and there are other reasons why members would invest in this comic as well, because there are other first appearances to consider. You have Bosk, you have IG-88, and you even have Emperor Palpatine, also known as Darth Sidious.
Yeah, man, collectors are throwing cash down on this book as well, but there's some interesting things happening here. Let's check out the CGC 9.6, which had a previous record of $1,000, now selling for $1,260. Then you have the newsstand of the 9.6, which had a previous record of $800, now selling for $1,100. But I think there's some room there because we're typically seeing these newsstand editions outperform the regular editions.
And the point right there gets made when you look at the 9.8. We have a standard copy selling at a 9.8 for once $2,000 just weeks ago, now breaking records at $2,515. But it doesn't stop there, because there was a 9.8 newsstand copy that sold, once going for $2,795, now being eclipsed by a $3,800 sale. It's all about that barcode, Gem.
Yeah, it's all about those barcodes, and it's all about those Silver Age blue chip Marvel keys, and we're talking about the most affordable one, the most criminally underrated one, Daredevil issue 1.
We have the first appearance of Daredevil, the first appearance of Matt Murdock, Foggy Nelson, Karen Page, and we've chatted about this book in length for quite some time. And I suspect that members are trying to secure some investments as the year winds down, trying to grow their portfolio with some affordable blue chip keys that have some room to grow. We've heard rumors of Charlie Cox possibly reprising his role as Daredevil. Just this past week, rumors of Jessica Jones possibly being introduced from the Netflix series to the MCU. Could it be happening? Well, it's pushing major records to be broken. And not to mention the brilliant work being done by Chip Zdarsky over at Marvel, piquing interest of existing collectors and gaining all new ones as well.
Before we even jump into the CGC grades, we got to talk about the high ungraded sale, $7,000. That thing must have looked super clean. Then we got a CGC 4.0, which previously had a record just last week of $3,155. That record's been broken at $3,300. And a CGC 7.5. That record's been broken 3 times this week alone. The previous high was $5,500, now selling for $7,000.
And now we are at number 1 on the list, the number 1 hottest book in the world. And before we get there, I got to make sure the members know that they got to go into the description and subscribe to Gem Mint Collectibles. You're doing some crazy stuff over on your channel, Gem.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Tom. You know, we do the statue unboxings, we do the omnibus reviews, and the weekly comic book day reviews. We're also crowdfunding our first ever exclusive variant cover with Dynamite Entertainment, Vampirella 16, the Gem Mint exclusive variant drawn by Ken Haser with Vampirella holding the gem. We're trying to reach our stretch goal of $10,000, so do us a favor and back the project. The link should be in the description below.
You know it is. And at the top of this list today, we have a book that I think made its way here because of really other FF major blue chip keys starting to price themselves out. We have, for the first time on the list, and for the first time at the top of the list, Silver Surfer issue number 1.
The poor man's Fantastic Four 48. We've been seeing this throughout collecting history, throughout the time that we've been doing these videos together. But yeah, with the FF 48s and 49s getting out of reach, the next best things are going to start creeping up, and that's Silver Surfer number 1, which is a great book. Awesome cover, square bound book, first issue.
We have the origin of the Silver Surfer, the origin of the Watchers, and you mentioned it. It's a square bound book, notoriously difficult to secure in high grade. Nearly every copy below a VF has some type of problem in the spine. The cover typically has a split at the top or the bottom, whether it's front or back, if not both. You'd be lucky if the cover is even secured at all.
Tom, before you jump into the record-breaking sales on this issue, we got to put in perspective by talking about the price jumps in the Fantastic Four 48 issue, which is the first appearance of Silver Surfer and the first cameo of Galactus. We have a previous record in a CGC 8.0 at $4,500 has jumped by over $1,000 to $5,700. So what's going on in the Silver Surfer 1?
Well, you mentioned it. The prices are starting to spike because Silver Surfer 48 is outpricing itself over and over again. But get this, a CGC 9.6 came to market this past week. The prior sale was $8,600. Now going for $13,200. Those gains are tremendous, and it's gotta be because of how difficult it is to secure this book in high grade.
Yeah, killer sales. I cannot wait to see them do something with this character in the MCU, whether it's Disney Plus or on the big screen.
Emily Blunt, where you at? Comic Fam, where are you at? In the comment section below, let me know what you think about this list. It'll enter you to win a Peach Momoko Wretches Virgin variant. It's an exclusive I did earlier in the year, and it could be yours by letting us know what you think, liking, and subscribing. And as always,
geek responsibly and stay minty fresh.
Enough said. Comic Fam, thanks so much for taking the time to watch our videos this year. We have other ones that you can check out. Hit the subscribe button because you know I'm going to be here all next year doing comic-themed content for the best community in the world. See you guys.